It was one of those nights when the rain doesn't just fall, it presses down on you heavy and cold. A young woman named Keisha was running barefoot through the alley, uniform, torn mascara mixed with tears. Behind her, sirens that didn't scream, just purred like the hunt had already been decided. Three cops stepped out of the cruiser, calm, smirking like wolves who'd cornered their prey. One of them tapped his baton and grinned. "Where you think you're going, sweetheart?" That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Across town, her brother, Marcus, was halfway through a bottle of whiskey when the phone rang. The voice was flat, almost bored. "Your sister's gone." At the morgue, Marcus saw her bruise, violated, her eyes wide open. The report said overdose. The cops said wrong crowd. But Marcus knew his sister. She didn't drink, didn't smoke. She was saving every dollar to open her own cafe, a yellow door, home-cooked meals, a place she wanted to call Keisha's Kitchen. And in that moment, something inside Marcus broke, quiet but fatal. See, Marcus wasn't some regular guy. He'd grown up in the streets, done his dirt work of muscle for people who didn't ask questions. But Keisha was his anchor, the only pure thing in his life. And now she was gone, and the city acted like she never existed. No investigation, no outrage, just silence. He sat at her grave, the wind cutting through his jacket, and whispered, "They think I'm just gonna take this." That night, he made a promise. Justice by any means. He started watching the cops he knew were behind it, three of them: Sergeant Harlan, Officer Mitchell, and Deputy Collins. On the news, they were heroes, parades, charity drives, photo ops with kids. But in the shadows, monsters. Harlan snuck off to underground poker games, fists bloodied from beating debtors. Mitchell, a so-called family man, but Marcus learned he spent nights in dark clubs leaving girls with bruises they couldn't explain. Collins was young, twitchy guilt leaking from his eyes every time he walked out of the station. He wasn't the worst, but silence, it makes you guilty too. Marcus tracked their routines, their secrets, their weaknesses. He didn't rush, he planned. Vengeance had taught him patience. The first strike came against Mitchell. Late one night, Marcus watched him stumble, drunk, into his driveway, whistling like life was sweet. Marcus poured gasoline around the cop's shiny SUV, the one with family stickers on the back window. He stared at those stickers, at the smiling faces of a wife and kid, then dropped a photo of Keisha on the ground. Her smile, her cafe sketch, scribbled across it in red. "Do you remember her now?" When the flames roared up, Marcus didn't flinch. The city woke up to headlines: officer's car torched, no suspects. Marcus just whispered, "One down." Days later, Mitchell's body turned up in an alley, throat opened in the dark. Official word: robbery gone wrong. But Marcus knew better. He made sure of it. Then came Collins. The kid was different. Marcus snatched him one night outside his apartment, zip-tied him to a chair in an abandoned shop. He peeled the tape off his mouth and dropped Keisha's photo at his feet. Collins broke fast, tears streaming, voice shaking. "I didn't touch her, man. I swear." I froze. I should have stopped them, but they were my unit. I was a coward. Marcus leaned close, jaw clenched. "And hers depended on you opening your mouth." Collins begged for mercy. Marcus didn't kill him. Instead, he shattered his jaw, scarred his face, and dumped him at the ER with a note pinned to his chest. She didn't get this mercy. The city erupted. Two cops gone, a third broken. The department circled wagons, reporters sniffed the streets, buzzed. But Marcus wasn't finished. That left Harlan the ringleader. Word was he'd holed up in a hunting cabin 3 hours out, thinking the woods would protect him. Marcus followed the trail. When he pushed open the cabin door, Harlan was waiting with a drink in one hand and a pistol in the other. "You finally show," Harlan smirked. "You think you're righteous? You're just another thug chasing ghosts. Your sister, she was nothing but a mouthy waitress." That was it. Marcus didn't shoot. He lunged. Fists flew, bones cracked. Blood sprayed across the walls. He beat the smirk off that man's face until it was unrecognizable. Then he tied him to a post, gagged him, and set the cabin ablaze. As the flames lit up the night sky, Marcus walked into the woods without looking back, clutching Keisha's locket, the only piece of her the morgue returned. Justice wasn't clean, but it was done. 2 days later, they caught him, a trail cam, a neighbor's tip. SWAT swarmed a lonely bus stop where Marcus sat sipping cheap coffee, eyes fixed on the horizon. He didn't run, didn't fight. He just raised his hands and said, "I'm ready." The city split in two. Some called him a killer. Others called him a revolution. His mugshot spread everywhere, swollen eyes, no expression, but to many he looked like every black brother who'd ever been told his sister's life didn't matter. And then Keisha's story came out. A reporter pieced it together, deleted surveillance, changed police reports, toxicology screens that didn't add up. Hashtags spread, say her name, justice for Keisha. Vigils, murals, protests outside courthouses. Some signs read, he shouldn't have had to. Others, this isn't justice. This is survival. In court, Marcus faced life without parole. His lawyer begged him to fight, but he just shook his head. I already won. Because now the world knew her name. Months later, a cafe opened on the corner where Keisha used to work double shifts. Yellow door, bright lights, her photo above the register. The sign read, Keisha's Kitchen, painted by a friend she used to wait tables with. Marcus had wired every dollar he had clean and dirty to make it real. He never walked through that door. He was already locked away. But every Sunday in his cell, he pulled out her locket, traced the picture, and whispered, "You don't have to fight forever, little sis. You just had to live." Snow fell one morning outside the prison window when another inmate asked, "You ever regret it?" Marcus didn't look away from the glass. He just said, "I couldn't save her life, but I made sure they'll never forget her name." Now I gotta ask you, what would you have done? If the system buried your sister, if the badge turned into a shield for killers, would you sit quiet or would you burn the world to make sure her story was heard? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Marcus a murderer? Or was he the only one brave enough to demand justice? And if you believe every voice matters, hit that like, share this story, and make sure nobody ever forgets Keisha's name. It was one of those nights when the rain doesn't just fall, it presses down on you heavy and cold. A young woman named Keisha was running barefoot through the alley, uniform, torn mascara mixed with tears. Behind her, sirens that didn't scream, just purred like the hunt had already been decided. 3 cops stepped out of the cruiser, calm, smirking like wolves who'd cornered their prey. One of them tapped his baton and grinned. "Where you think you're going, sweetheart?" That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Across town, her brother, Marcus, was halfway through a bottle of whiskey when the phone rang. The voice was flat, almost bored. "Your sister's gone." At the morgue, Marcus saw her bruise, violated, her eyes wide open. The report said overdose. The cops said wrong crowd. But Marcus knew his sister. She didn't drink, didn't smoke. She was saving every dollar to open her own cafe, a yellow door, home-cooked meals, a place she wanted to call Keisha's Kitchen. And in that moment, something